I'm Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger.
I'm Shadi of Awwad.
And Taped with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug.
Oh, everybody talk about Doug. Shalom, welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad to be with us today. My guests today are visiting from Israel. To my right, directly next to me, is Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger. And next to him is Shadi Abu Awwad. They are here as part of the organization Roots. Roots, Shorshim, as known in Hebrew, is an organization fostering a grassroots movement of understanding nonviolence and transformation among Israelis and Palestinians towards getting along and learning to live side by side in peace. And it's an amazing story the two of you have. I want to start with you, Shadi, because your story is amazing. You grew up from a very young age as a Palestinian patriot with your family. Your family was, and activists. And you learned during the first Intifada, the uprising to hate Israelis. It was just something you were brought up with, as you say. And Hanan, you as a rabbi, you moved to Israel a long time ago and have been living there and had a deep love for Israel always. And it wasn't until you maybe went and had a conversation with Palestinian neighbors that this whole movement and organization came about. So I want to start out with you and tell me, what was your first innovation sword saying, I have to meet these people who are over here because we really don't know each other?
Well, what happened is that I was driving. I had two guests in the car, Protestant pastors from the States. And I was showing them around where I live, which is Gush Etzion, Judea, south of Jerusalem, and what's called the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, occupied territory, liberated territory, Palestine, Israel. There, Israelis and Palestinians live completely separately. We have no connection. We have different educational systems, language, cultures. We have different villages, different municipalities, live under different legal systems. We don't know anything of the other. Media is separate. Driving the car, and I'm showing them the flourishing of Jewish settlement in the land of Judea. They wanted to see how the visions of the biblical prophets are coming true before our eyes. The children of the land are coming back after 2,000 years of exile. And as we're driving, I'm showing them around, I picked up a hitchhiker. Then I picked up another hitchhiker. When the second hitchhiker got out of the car, one of the pastors, the one from Texas, turned to me. He said, Hanan, that was great. You're such a good guy. You gave us a lesson in Jewish ethics. No one picks up hitchhikers in Texas. Thank you. So I said, look, Bob, it's not just me. We all pick up hitchhikers because we have a common vision around here. We trust each other. And just like everyone else, I do my best to pick up every person who puts out his finger for a ride. And somehow, by the end of that sentence, I realized that I was lying. I was lying to Bob and the other pastor. I was lying to myself. I don't pick up every person who puts out his finger. I pick up, of course, only Israelis, only Jews. And at that moment, I realized that something was wrong with me. How could I say I pick up every person when 90% of the people out there I don't pick up? What it means is that I wasn't seeing the Palestinians. They didn't register in my consciousness, or they didn't register as human beings, because my lifestyle, my narrative, my identity had taught me that only my people exist. Only we are real, only we belong there. So at that moment, I realized that there was something rotten inside of me. If there's a human being you don't see, that's not good. And that's the moment that I said I have to go out and meet my Palestinian neighbors.
Wonderful. I want to ask you now a little bit about growing up, a little bit about, you have some amazing stories of things that happened to you. What fostered your first dislike and what grew into hate as a group during the Intifada of Israelis or Jews, however that went, and how did that slowly change as time went on?
So, as I said, I was born and raised in Palestine. To grow up in Palestine, you don't need someone to come and tell you that you should be angry and you should be mad and you should hate, because there is nothing you can do in your daily life without feeling the conflict and the occupation. So, of course, as a normal human being, you will be angry and you will hate the one who's causing you that suffering in your life. But it's not only about that. It's after my uncle was murdered by an Israeli soldier. My other uncle was murdered by an Israeli soldier. My brother was shot by an Israeli soldier. So it's become the sense of revenge also. We are losing people because of this occupation, of this conflict. And what present Israel, what present the occupation, what present the Jewish people in my eyes is that soldier I see 24/7 in my life. So of course I hated that. But the one who saved my brother's life was an Israeli doctor. The one who didn't care about where he come from, didn't care about what language he speaks, what color of ID he have, what nationality he have. She just was a human being, treating a human being. From that moment, I start slowly to open my eyes that I cannot judge the whole society for one man's fault. I cannot, my problem is with the occupation, not with the human being. He did nothing to me. My problem is not with him. My problem is with the occupation. I will always be against the occupation and against the soldiers who's taking our lives, against all the violence that's happening in the land where we come from. But it opened my eyes that I cannot hate the whole human being for that, because I don't have a problem with the Jewish who following their religion. The Judaism is the religion I believe in it as a Muslim. So my problem is with the occupation, not with the human being, and that's what I opened my eyes at.
So do all Muslims believe that Judaism was a veiled religion and Christianity was a veiled religion, and Islam grew out of that?
Of course, all the Muslims believe in Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, because our Quran speaks about that. And our prophets is from those religions. For example, Judaism, there is a chapter in the Quran, and the Quran talking a lot about Judaism, and then Christianity, and then Islam. So as a Muslim, you have to be a believer in what God created, and you have to believe in the religion that the God gave to the people. So all the Muslims. You cannot be a Muslim if you don't believe in all of that.
People don't talk about it a lot, so it's,
I know.
So it's something to hear you say is something that I think that people aren't aware of that aren't Muslim.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Tell me, so your brother was saved by an Israeli doctor,
Yes.
and your mindset changed a little bit on how you treat other people and how you should treat other people. How did you and Hanan meet, and how did the two of you come together and say, we can do something to make a difference, and that's Shorshim Roots?
So the start of Roots, it was not me. It was Hanan, my uncle, my family. But I came after. I came after, and how I decide to be part of Roots and to be one of the founders and the director of the youth group of Roots, it's because trying many other peace talks and meetings, that was not enough for me, or did not convince me that I'm doing the right thing. Because the difference between I found in Roots that I didn't find anywhere else, that in Roots we are not meeting there just to say things that will make you feel good or will make me feel good. We are honest with ourselves first, and then with the one in front of us. I don't mind if what I'm gonna say gonna make you feel bad, but this is the truth. Before I talk about peace, I talk about rights, because we believe we cannot have peace with no justice and equal rights. So I joined Roots, and I walked inside the land. I saw the meeting, I heard what they are doing, and then I start to think about it. Then I saw some activities. I heard from both sides who were meeting there. So I decided, okay, I want to be part of this.
Very interesting. Tell me about your personal experiences. Now, you talked about that you see the soldier, you see the soldiers on the road, you you experience, the violence that has gone on during the Intifada. Obviously, people who are activists and soldiers who are protecting the Jews, and some people are what's the word? Quick to be scared and frightened. What was your own personal experiences that have made you scared at certain times?
Well, I have many stories, but there is one that opened my eyes to all of the fact that our conflict is controlled by fear these days, and to the other fact that these days you can lose your life for doing nothing. What happened is that I was driving my car going through Gush Etzion Junction to a meeting with a youth group. So I saw a lady, an Israeli lady, want to cross the street, so as a normal reaction I stopped my car. She took 2 steps in the street, then she looked at my license plate color, it's Palestinian, she freaked out. When the soldier saw her reaction and saw that Palestinian in this car, he's also so
Palestinian
dangerous.
cars have green license
Green
plates,
license.
Israeli have yellow, is that
Yellow,
right?
yes. So he saw there is an Israeli lady in the middle of the street, he saw there is a Palestinian car there, then he felt the danger. He couldn't decide what he want to do. So he aimed his gun towards me right away.
So the soldier was actually aiming a gun at your car at you.
Yes, right away. And when he see the reaction and the terrifying, that woman's face, then he had to decide in a second what he gonna do. He gonna shoot me, what he gonna do about it. I could feel it that he's thinking, but he's not able to decide. He don't know what to do. So immediately I opened my window. I told him, just calm down. I want her to cross the street. He told me, no, she will take 2 steps into the back and you just take your car and leave, don't ever stop here. But after 2 minutes, I start thinking and I realized that that lady, okay, maybe she's a good person, but she almost caused my death. That soldier almost shoot me, and what was my fault? Just being someone driving, following the street rules. He saw a lady want to cross the street, he stopped his car. The second question I asked myself, what will happen if another one was in my car? And of course, as a normal human being, when he sees someone is afraid and he sees someone is aiming his gun towards him, he will try to run away. He want to save his life. If that car will move for 1 centimeter, that soldier will not think twice before throwing hundreds of bullets to that car. So in that situation, it was 99% someone gonna lose his life, which is me, and 1% that I will come out alive from that situation. So it's crazy. When the occupation did not only succeed to occupy people's land, also succeed to occupy people's mind, people's heart, and fill it with fear and blind with hatred, that means anybody can lose his life for no reason.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. Hanan, living in Gush Etzion in the West Bank, and there have been a number of terror attacks in towns on the West Bank. Do you live in fear?
I don't live in fear, no. Perhaps I once lived in fear, but today that I know Palestinians, and I'm able to see what I think are the facts, which is the vast majority of Palestinians are not violent, and they're human beings just like we are. There's more of a danger in getting in the car and perhaps having a road accident at the way to Jerusalem from my house than there is of being attacked by a Palestinian statistically. But we're so full of that narrative of fear that we live with it. But today, I'm over it. I'll give you a little story.
Please.
About 5 years ago, only a year after we began our work, I needed a ride home from our center. We'll tell you later about the center we created, Jewish Palestinian Community Center. So one of the Palestinians said, I'll give you a ride. So I got in the car. There's a Palestinian driving, a Palestinian next to him in the front seat. I'm in the back. We drive about 30 seconds and I start laughing. And they asked me, the Palestinians in front, what are you laughing about? And I say, do you guys realize what's happening right now? I'm an Israeli in a Palestinian car with Palestinian license plates. You know what I'm thinking? They said, no. I said, I'm being kidnapped. And they burst out laughing. In other words, early in my life, before I got involved in knowing Palestinians, creating those organizations, the only scenario I could ever think of being in the back seat of a car with green Palestinian license plates is that I'm being kidnapped. But no, they were just driving me home, and it was totally normal.
Wow, wow, great story. You know, where I live in a neighborhood which is very mixed. There are a lot of Orthodox Jews, some non-Orthodox Jews, a lot of Palestinians and Muslims in the neighborhood, and we all get along fine. We all get along fine. There are actually organizations that share together, but we all get along fine. We walk down the store, we shop in the same stores right next to each other. We hold the door for each other. Yeah. It's hard to believe, I guess, for people who've never been to Israel, to see that separation that there is in the communities and in the towns, and that the lives of the Palestinian communities, you know, they have their own lives in their communities. The Israelis have their own lives in their own communities, and they're right next door to each other, and they don't intermingle. Of course, there are areas where there is more intermingling than that, but certainly in those areas.
A story?
Yeah, please. I was just going to ask you, what else is it that people don't know or would not understand without being there? Please.
So the very first time, about 5.5 years ago, that I came to America to speak with one of my Palestinian partners, with Shadi's uncle actually, we were in Atlanta. We were hosted for Shabbat dinner, and we had there a rabbi, a Muslim imam, we had Christians, and as we sat down, we sang Shalom Aleichem. Before Kiddush, I said, I have to say something. And I said, with tears in my eyes actually, do you guys know that what we are doing now in Atlanta, back where I come from, is illegal? It's illegal for Israelis and Palestinians to sit down to Shabbat dinner? They said, what do you mean illegal? Because where I live, in my settlement, just like all the other settlements, it's forbidden for a Palestinian to come in, if not during work hours, with an armed guard, with his employer, with a work permit. It's forbidden for Palestinians to enter Jewish settlements
for
normally,
social purposes.
And it's forbidden for Israelis to enter Palestinian villages, forbidden by Israeli military law. So there's no possibility of meeting. We don't know anything about each other, and we're full of ignorance and bigotry and stereotypes and racism and hate and also fear, much fear, and it's part of our consciousness, part of our identity. And then our organization Roots, 6 years ago, we created the only joint space in the whole West Bank, the only place that's common land. It's the land of Shadi's family, Palestinian farmland, right on a main road where tens of thousands of Israelis and Palestinians pass every day. They decided to dedicate the land to creating a better future for both peoples. We created their Merkaz Karama, which means a dignity center, and almost every day local Palestinians and local Israelis are coming to meet each other in the myriad of activities we do, social, religious, educational, and also political. We talk about the deepest things. We talk about identity, not just getting along and making peace, but who are we? Who are they? And we realize each side builds this identity upon the nullification of the side's identity. Each side thinks they know who they are, but in Roots what we do is we tell stories of identity, who we are, and we listen to their stories. And it's so difficult to hear who the other says he is, and so hard to hear who the other thinks that you are. But we have to accept this. We learn in our organization Roots. They are who they say they are. They're Palestinians who belong in the land, and we are who we say are. We are Jews, Israeli Zionists who belong in the land. We learn in Roots that both sides belong in that same piece of land, and that's not easy.
Wow. I want to come back to you. I'm very, puzzled, Shadi, how a family that is rooted in activism, as far as anti-Israeli activism, as far as sometimes violence and activism, turns their whole attitude around, especially after losing loved ones in the uprising, and Israeli soldiers defending, and sometimes, as we know, like in the case of you at the junction, a soldier is scared himself and doesn't know what to do, and people get injured when they feel that there's danger, even though there might not have been danger. How do you get over something like that to the point to saying, I need to be their friend, and we have to learn to live together?
Well, to take the decision that you want to take that challenge and bring the change, you don't have to get over that. You should go through, when you go through all of that, you shouldn't get over it. You should use it as a reason to push you to go and bring change for a better future for yourself and your family and your next generation. Why I say that is because when you go through all of that, it's not that easy to decide, okay, I just forgive, I don't mind,
Right,
you know
that's
what,
why
I
I'm
can
asking.
just put it aside and go shake hands. No, you can't. That way you will be just lying to yourself and then to the whole society, and then you're taking this challenge for nothing. Because when I say challenge, this step we took, it's challenging for ourselves, our societies, and the whole world. So at least we have to be honest with ourselves. We cannot hide this pain. If I will decide, I will just put it aside and go shake hands, and we will live together for 5-10 minutes, 5-10 years. Yeah, because you look at we watch it mixed. For 5-10 years, 20 years, but then all the feelings we put aside, it's gonna blow up in our faces again. That's why we don't get over it in Roots. No, we tell the story. We say what happened, but we don't use violence. So in Roots, you don't have to give up your identity. You don't have to give up your rights to be a peace activist. No, you should use it as a strong reason to connect you deeply to your identity as a Palestinian. In Roots, I say even half of Palestine is not enough for me. I want the whole land as a Palestinian. This is my identity. I say even some of the rights is not enough for me. I want full rights. And as you mentioned, here you live in the same neighborhood, it's mixed, and you go along together. You know why? Because you have justice. People equal.
Equality.
Same rights, which were rights for everyone here. Everyone has been treated the same way. So of course, when you have all of that, you will have space in your heart, in your mind, to talk and to discuss, even if you don't agree. But when you don't have all of this, how come you can find space in your heart and in your mind to think about any kind of talk or reconciliation? That's why in Roots we focused on talking about rights.
So,
Because this is how we can achieve peace.
so true, so true. Tell me, have you been able to, you and your family, been able to influence extended family members who were activists to put down, as we say, lo yisa goy al goy cherev, lo yilmadu al milchama. Put down your swords and let's not learn war. Let's learn to talk and have dialogue instead. Have you been able to share that with extended family members as well, who may have been a little bit more on the other side of things?
Of course, because, but it's not this way. It's not I'm trying to pull them to do what I do. No, I'm just telling them what I do, and then they can decide how they want to do it, because we don't have followers. Everyone is a leader in Roots, a leader of his own change. So when someone will come and join, he will not find me or anyone come and tell him what to do and what to say and how he should do it. No, you just have open space for yourself, for your mind, for your heart, for your memories, for your dreams for the future, and you decide how the change you want to have it, your own change. So the people obviously convince themselves to come again and again.
I understand. So I have so many questions for you, and I'm sure you and Hanan have had these discussions before, but you know, children who grow up in Israel are not taught hate in school. They're taught fear, though. They're taught fear because they have to be safe where they are and know what to look for. You know, they're taught to, if you're on a bus, look and see if there's any packages that don't belong to someone. You know, if you see something suspicious, report it. These are things that children are taught. As you mentioned, and you talk about, hate is something that children learn from their parents and from a young age. Has that started to change now?
It's not hate. I didn't say they learn it from their parents.
So please clarify.
Yeah, it's not from parents. I say
Society?
to grow up in Palestine, you don't need someone to come and teach you that you should hate. Because when I was like 10, 12 years and you want to walk to school, you have to go through a checkpoint and you have to face a full armed soldier. You will be afraid, but you are not allowed to show fear. You have to show strength and braveness. So when the first thing you do in your life is prepare yourself to face army in your way to school, that means your suffering comes from your daily experience. So you don't have to bring someone and tell you that you should hate. Plus that I've been in Palestinian school. In Palestinian school, they don't teach that you should hate and you should go and do this and this. And from Israeli schools, I know that what they teach is to protect yourself and to be afraid, but also it have to be added to that there is also human being on the other side. I do believe that the education system should take a big part of bringing change to our lives there.
Hanan, do you see change in Israeli society in dealing, and especially in West Bank towns where you live, in dealing with their neighbors? Do you see things getting better? How is that progressing?
So you asked two questions. You asked, do I see change, and do I see things getting better? Yes, I see change, but I don't see things getting better. Things are getting worse. Absolutely. The narratives of both sides, including the Israeli side, are becoming more and more entrenched. And both sides are getting what I call sicker and sicker. And the disease is something I call the hubris of exclusivity. The hubris of exclusivity. Palestinians suffer from it, we suffer from it. It's when you think, when you know that your people are the only real people in this land, that only your people belong in this land, that only we are legitimate, and the other side isn't for real. They're fabricated people, they don't belong here, they should go back someplace else. And as far you look at the surveys of kids and young people, people are getting more and more entrenched in that worldview that is based upon ignorance of and nullifying the existence of the Palestinians, and that brings us to a place of hate. Just like they're not taught to hate explicitly, we're not taught to hate. But today, many, many Israelis, especially where I live, in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, do hate Palestinians, do.
It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Roots Shorshim, as it's called, is a non-for-profit organization promoting dialogue, peace, and learning to live with your neighbors. If people want to learn about it, what is the website that people could look at?
The web's friendsofroots.net. Friendsofroots.net. We have to be very careful. I tell all the viewers, don't make the mistake of going to friendsofroots.org. Because it'll bring you to China to buy roots. And we're not selling roots, we're selling reconciliation. Right. Friendsofroots.net. Also on Facebook, Friends of Roots. Give us a like.
Very nice. All right. Well, I want to thank you both for being on the show. Thank you both for your being honest and telling your stories. And I can't thank you enough, Shadi and Hanan, Rabbi, for being on the show today. And I wish you much success in your ventures to spread the word of peace, getting along, and living side by side with dialogue. And it's a wonderful thing, and I hope that your center grows and grows and grows with more people wanting to come there and learn to live next door to each other in peace so that people don't have to live in fear. It's a wonderful thing. I want to thank all of you for being with us. Remember, check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows on the web and find out more about our guests by emailing us at info@tvrabbi.com. If you want to email them individually, I will forward that email to them, and I know they'll get back to you. Hope to see you all next time. Thanks for being with us right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show, where he's the rabbi for me. Anytime you need, you're gonna get married or you're gonna die. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.